Chapter 2, Part 2 of More Than Just a Pretty Face. That's like, whatever, I don't really understand why Desi's make such an issue out of it. They treat it like it's been the end of the world or something, but it isn't a big... There's video, Bisma told me very quietly. Is that apocalyptic enough for you? You haven't said anything in a really long time, Bisma pointed out softly. I pulled into a parking lot spot in front of a small coffee shop I liked. They made the best mocha, which was the only drink I ever ordered because it was the brownest of all coffees. Danielle, I'm not sure what to say. That's okay. Her gaze was fixed on her lap. More silence. So, in this video, you're effing? I knew she used that word to shock me. I can respect that. What are you waiting for? Bisma asked. Take me back. I shook my head, not at her suggestion, but at her situation she was describing. How was there video that was insane? It was the kind of thing the reputation of a Pakistani girl would never, ever recover from. Did anyone know? Did her parents? I had so many questions. I chose to ask one. So you're a porn star then? Now Bisma did look up at me, eyes flashing with indignation. What? No. How can you I'm not... I held up my hands. It was a joke. Was it? Yeah, of course. It didn't sound like a joke. I'm super dry. She scowled at me. It was stupid. There was some stuff going on at home. I was really angry. I went to a party because my parents wouldn't want me to, and drank because they wouldn't want me to. And anyway, I decided to sleep with this guy, and I didn't realize he had a camera in his room. I guess he thought it'd be funny to record it or something. Then he posted it online. He called it Muslim Girl Likes Too. What? Seriously? Wow, that's messed up. Bisma ran a hand through her hair. Yeah, well then, his friends showed their friends. By the time he agreed to take the video down, because I told him to go to the cops, I would go into the cops. It was too late. It was all over school and then mosque. Then my parents heard about it and my father almost kicked me out. Anyway, we couldn't live there anymore. We moved to California to make a fresh start. And that's why you're in the bargain bin? Yeah, she sighed. So now that you know, can we please go back? After we leave, you can tell your family all about how I'm who slept with a white boy and the whole world saw it. They'll never mention me again. You're probably right. I know I am, she said, sounding very tired, and something she said came back to me. I can't get my mother stopped setting up these meetings. This has happened before, I guess. You've had to tell this story before. Every single time my parents introduce me to someone, I get my mom to ask the guy's mom to send us out for coffee, and then I have this conversation with them. There's no point in talking to someone who can't handle what happened. And you've had a lot of coffee? Bisma laughed and wiped roughly at her eyes. It never gets that far. They hear my story, and they're nice. I mean, most of them. But they drive me back. I don't blame them. This isn't going to stay a secret. Some days someone is going to find out, and his family will be the one with the tramp for a daughter-in-law. I'm over it. I've made peace with it. Peace is good, I said, just to have something to say. Sure, yeah, it's great. I didn't really think much about what I would do next, which wasn't at all unusual for me. I'd agreed to have coffee with her before she told me about her past. All I had to do was ask myself if learning her story had changed my opinion of her at all. If it hadn't, there was no reason to change plans. Can I ask you something? Bisma shrugged. Do you like nuts in your brownies? What? Some people like brownies plain. Just pure chocolate batter, and that's cool. But I'm thinking of having nuts in there for a better experience. Are the brownies a metaphor? Bisma asked. Because if so, that's pretty racist. 2 things, I said. First, membership has its privileges, okay? Second, no, it isn't metaphor. This place has good brownies, but they make them with nuts. They put little sea salt on top, which I think really... Anyway, I turned off the ignition. Come on, let's go inside. She stared at the keys. I withdrew them from the car, and she stared at me. And then the entrance to the cafe. This is a nice gesture, Daniel, but I don't need your pity. It isn't pity. My mother told me to have coffee, so that's what I'm going to do. You in? So, Mom demanded as soon as the Akrams left. What did you think? Who cares what he thinks, my father said. To a stranger, he would have seemed inordinately annoyed by my mother's question. I knew, of course, that this was his default setting. I'm pretty sure Ahmed Jalani came into this world with a frown, and the odds are good he'll be frowning when he leaves it. His autobiography would probably be called something like A Series of Continuous Disappointments. I'd have a feature role. Should I request your opinion then? Mom glared at him. Are you going to marry her, or will he? Ahmed Jalani gave a grunt. He grunted like happy people smiled, that is to say, often. They were different types of grunts. If you spent enough time with him, you'd learn to tell them apart. This one, drawn out at the beginning, then abruptly cut short, was dismissive. He should be grateful. Anyone even considers giving him their daughter. He's just a bloody part-time cook. He hasn't even graduated high school yet. He might never manage it. Why would the Akram girl even consider marrying your son? Acha, he's my son only now. Oh, he's my son only now? This argument happened every time my future came up. My father had strong opinions about what I was doing or not doing with my life, and he wasn't shy about voicing it. Of course, he said, wasn't it a great uncle on your mother's side who had a restaurant? Danielle doesn't get that nonsense from my side of the family, I'll tell you that. My mother huffed and came back with her stock reply. On your side also is art, okay? Wasn't it your mom's brother who was a poet? Poetry is different. Food isn't art, woman. Besides, there's lots of respectable poets. Like who? Before Dad could launch into a long history of Urdu poets of Lucknow, the city in India where my paternal ancestors lived before 1947, I said, she was fine. My father glowered in my direction. What? He's answering my question about the girl, Mom explained. So, Daniel, did she seem interested in you? If she is interested in him, my father interrupted, why, we shouldn't be interested in her. No woman with good judgment would. He leaned forward in his chair, then said, wait, Asha, how did you say you came to meet these people? Aisha Jalani, who somehow knew everybody outlined for her husband, a complicated chain of friends and acquaintances, none of them who I recognized. And how well do you know these people really? And how well do all of these people really know the Akrams? What are you trying to say, Ahmed? I'm saying that there is something strange in this doll. Why would they be interested in this one? He pointed to me. We should look into it. Or, I suggested, we could just not eat the doll. We could get something else entirely. I thought that was perfectly reasonable comment. If I still drew another grunt from my father, it was an, are you sure this idiot is my child, woman? Because I'd rather have been cuckolded than believe my blood flows in this fool's veins, grunt. I heard it a lot. Mom just ignored me. You never give our son your son. Ugh, fine. You never give my son enough credit. Look how handsome he is. Yes, he's lucky he got my looks. My son, my mother said, my looks. The point is that he may not be all that well qualified or that intelligent, and he probably doesn't have a very good future. Hey! She waved off my objection without even looking at me. But he'll make lovely babies. Think of it, an old school arrangement. When our elder got married, they looked at the boy's education, the girl's looks only. Just think of Danielle like that, like an 18th century girl from a remote Indian village. Then it all makes sense. Ahmed Jalani gave his, you make a decent point, but I'm not convinced, grunt, which was the closest he probably ever come to admitting anyone else might be right. Those women had skills. They managed their homes, raised families. Will this one do that? He's just a pretty face. I'm more than that, just... Anyway, my father went on, I still think their interest in Danielle is strange. Okay, fine, Baba. I'll ask around some more. My mother masterfully switched over to a placating tone all of a sudden. It's what she did when she realized that reasoning with her husband would get her nowhere. It was something she got in a lot of practice at over the years. I'm sure people know them. We'll get plenty of references, I grimaced. The last thing Bisma Akram needed was a bunch of desi aunties prying into her life. Someone, somewhere, would have a relative who knew the Akrams before they moved here, and that someone would know a friend who would know the brother-in-law who once mentioned Akram Sahib's daughter who made erotic videos and posted them online. By the time Bisma's story reached my mother, it would be exaggerated all to hell, and it spread like wildfire, burning her reputation down in California too. No, I said, don't do that. Now it was my mother who frowned at me. Why not? Bisma seems like a nice girl and everything, but I don't think it's gonna work. Allahu Akbar. My father threw his hands up in the air. Of course it won't work, because you have an allergy to work, don't you? This won't work, that won't work, she won't work. The only thing you're good for is wasting my money and eating my food, isn't it? Bloody idiot. Getting married to a qualified girl now. You can live off your woman's earnings like a shameless... I'm mad. No, Aisha, let me give him a dose of the truth, okay? How long are we gonna live, huh? When we're gone, he'll be cooking in a crappy diner somewhere, or maybe he'll be homeless, playing music at the side of the road, guitar case open, begging for scraps. He'll see then if the Akrams even deign to look at him. So, pretty harsh. Not the worst I've gotten from my father, though. Since I first told him I wanted to one day open my own restaurant, this kind of blow-up had been happening a lot. When he finally stopped speaking, his face red from exertion in his words, I gave him a small smile, and the most I could manage, and said, "Are you done?" My father snarled and slapped his hands against his thighs before getting up and stalking out of the room. I sat there with my mother in silence for some time. Finally, she said, "Danielle, it's fine, Mom. He loves you, John, and he worries about you." I said, "It's fine." Aisha Jalani sighed and came to sit next to me on the sofa. Her autobiography would probably be titled, "I'm Here to Make Sure You're Okay." She ran a hand over my hair. "You're sure I shouldn't ask around about this Bisma girl? You didn't like her?" "I liked her fine, Mom. It's okay. You don't have to tell me why. Just tell me